Hello, entrepreneurs, and welcome to the Possibility Partners Show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, your Chief Possibility Officer. And every Tuesday at 1 p.m. EST, you'll find me right here in Google Plus Hangouts on Air, sharing Andelicious advice for entrepreneurial adventurers. And these are conversations with seasoned entrepreneurs who share their best wisdom, tips, tools, and advice to help you and your business thrive and grow. And whether you're a solopreneur or a business owner with 50 employees, you know how lonely and isolating this entrepreneurial adventure can be. So I'm so thrilled you've tuned in either live or via replay and are joining me here to grab a dose of persistence, tenacity, resilience, courage, and hope, because we're all here to cheer each other on. And it's all about the possibilities, and it's all about celebrating what we're doing, whether it's our woohoos or our rut-rows, right? And today we have a wonderful entrepreneur here to share his entrepreneurial wisdom. He is a crowdfunding thought leader, the CEO and co-founder of Tubestart, and the founder of Krowdster. And he's the oh so delicious Josef Holm. Hey, Josef, say hi to everybody.
Hey, Andy, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. Hi, everyone.
Where are you hailing from?
I'm in Santa Monica, California.
Oh, gee, that's too bad. Everybody knows I'm here in Boston, but you know, happiness is an inside job, folks, and so I'm really happy I've been spending a lot of time inside. Okay, drum roll, funny joke, out of the way. Josef, you have an amazing background, and before we dive into what crowdfunding is all about and getting rid of the mystery and misconceptions, tell us about your background, because really you've been everywhere and done so many things as an entrepreneur. Please share.
Of course, my pleasure. So, I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. My dad was a musician and an entrepreneur, my mom also. And so, growing up, I always saw them work on different projects and go from this to that and move on and build something really amazing. They never really lived the 9-to-5 lifestyle, so for me that was never really an option. And when I finished school, I started off as a web designer. I started my own web design agency in Austria and got started on my own business, and just took it from there, because I just couldn't really see myself working in corporate America or in a corporate office. And I'd much rather follow my dreams and my ideas and work with other creative people. So it's kind of been something that I've learned from very, very early on. And that was 17 years ago when I started my first business. Now I'm here in Santa Monica, and a lot has happened since then. When I moved on from web design to affiliate marketing and eventually to crowdfunding, it's been an amazing, amazing journey.
Now, you went for technology. Was there any technology people in your family? I mean, I love that you grew up in a household where it wasn't about 9 to 5. What was it about technology that called to you that you decided that was the route you were going to take?
Well, quite frankly, before I knew much about technology, I kind of fancied the idea of web servers that work 24/7. So the idea of building passive income on the internet that makes money while you sleep or while you're on vacation was very, very appealing to me. Little did I know it's also a lot of work to build these kind of businesses, but it's been a lot of fun. And that's what I've been doing all my life pretty much. So I don't know anything else. And I like automation. I like optimizing processes, and this is exactly the field where you can do these kind of things.
Absolutely, and where you can sleep and make money at the same time. We love that.
Right?
So when were you introduced to crowdfunding? Because honestly, I don't even remember when it started. Just 1 minute it wasn't there, and then the next minute was there. How did you?
That's exactly how it happened for me too. It just kind of popped up on the scene, and in a big, big way too. I got my feet wet in crowdfunding when I launched a YouTube channel with my business partner. And he had licensed 3,500 HD stand-up comedy clips, and I know a lot about video SEO, so we partnered up and we were going to build this channel, and we released the first couple of hundred videos, and it did really well. We got up to 1 million views after 2 months, and we were really excited about that. And then the AdSense check came, and it was $2,000. And we were like, whoops, that's never going to pay the bills, you know? It's terrible. And then we looked around, and we stumbled across Kickstarter, and then I started doing some more research, and I found Indiegogo, and I was like, wow, that could be a really cool way of actually funding the rest of the editing work that needs to be done to get the channel to where it needs to be so it can generate enough views, right? And being the data nerd that I am, I just dug real deep and I looked at other projects, and I was kind of disappointed because none of the mainstream platforms serve the film and video vertical particularly well. It's a completely different ball game, you know, when you're crowdfunding or pre-selling essentially a Pebble watch or the coolest cooler or a piece of hardware, right? Or if you're crowdfunding a creative project, especially if that creative project goes up on YouTube, you have a completely different set of challenges. And the more we dug into it, you know, eventually we were just like, well, let's build our own platform. You know, so we came up with Tubestart. We built an MVP, the minimum viable product. We tested it for a couple of months. It did really well, and then we decided that we'll go all in, and we're going to launch Tubestart, and we're going to try and make it really big.
Well, can we just stop for a second? All right, you branding peeps out there, do you not love the name Tubestart? Ah, brilliant. How did you come up with that name?
Thank you. Well, we originally focused on YouTube channels, so we wanted the name to kind of reflect that. And I think it does that very well, so I'm glad you like it.
Oh, please. Well, everybody knows I'm a branding goddess, and I like the name because it tells everybody exactly what you're about. And it's just a strong name filled with authority. I love it. So when did you start? And you and your partner found Tubestart?
So we launched the first version of Tubestart in August 2013, so about a year and a half ago. And we've funded, I think, since version 2, about 16 projects. We did about 130,000. And you know, the way we did it was very different from how Kickstarter and Indiegogo work, because they are all about quantity and onboarding as many campaigns as possible. I took more of a step-by-step approach, so I will get a couple of projects and then work with them and see how they do and see where the problems are. Then go back to the drawing board, refine the platform, add new features. So every time, you know, we launch new campaigns, we have new features, we improve the platform. We actually, you know, we're a highly curated platform. We turn away around 90% of all projects because they're either not yet ready or just not right for us. But it's very, very important to work with people who are serious about it and who really want to put the time and effort into it to make it a success. So we're, you know, we like to call it a premium crowdfunding platform. But in the, you know, the bigger picture for Tubestart is that the studio system is broken, right? So Tubestart in the long run isn't going to replace Kickstarter or Indiegogo. They have a completely different business model. We're trying to replace the broken studio system, really. You know, it shouldn't take 6 years to bring a movie to market. It shouldn't include creators signing away all the rights and all control over it. It shouldn't include studios shelving projects and then not having giving creators access to it for 5 or 6 years. So there are just so many things wrong with it, and living here in LA and talking with so many filmmakers, we just see this every day. So, and this again is a process, right? But we're trying to build a 360 ecosystem where we can service filmmakers and videographers really from ideation, funding, production, distribution, and make sure all around it's a success, and we can streamline it online so it doesn't take 6 years, you know, it takes a couple of months or maybe a year, you know, and most importantly, creators retain control over their work.
Well, let's have a round of applause for that. Seriously, Josef, you've done so many things right with Tubestart, not just the name. The fact that you're curating, the fact that you're looking at the bigger picture as far as the reputation of your brand and how you want to see the successful outcomes happen while supporting your film and videographers in achieving their dreams in a way that is filled with integrity. I just love it. And now we have to go and tap into your smarty pants brain, because folks out there, you know, marketing people are numbers driven. And clearly you love the data because you started Krowdster. Share with everybody what that's about.
So as we were working with a lot of crowdfunders on Tubestart, and I get a lot of emails from other people who want to launch projects on other platforms, and I try to help them all. I came across the same problem over and over and over again. How do I pick the right platform? Based on evidence, not based on gut feeling or which logo you like better, right? How do you build a crowd that really cares? I mean, that's arguably the biggest problem that every crowdfunder has. I think 99% of all the people I speak with don't have a crowd big enough, and they're not ready to start crowdfunding tomorrow. Those who do are really few and far in between.
Yeah.
So I built Krowdster. What Krowdster is, it's really the first big data-driven crowdfunding research, optimization, and crowd building tool that uses data that we collected from over 500,000 previous Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and so forth crowdfunding campaigns to try and paint a picture, a very, very simple to understand picture. So it's about which crowdfunding platform has the best success rate. Not across the board, but in my category, because if you look at technology and film and video and arts, they all have different success rates. They have different requirements. They're different startups, really. So what kind of platform to choose is so fundamental, and there was no data to go by. It was really just you like Kickstarter, you like Indiegogo, and you go to one of the two. But there are many, many different platforms out there. Some of them do a much better job for niche projects. So that was one of the big goals, to provide analytics, data-driven analytics that are updated all the time. So our data is never older than about an hour, and you can always go there and find out exactly what these platforms are doing in terms of performance. And then of course there is a crowd builder, which is this is a really great tool. So building your crowd for crowdfunding, right? The biggest challenge there is, how do you find people who actually care? A lot of people go on Twitter and then they search for crowdfunding influencers, and then they tweet at 200 influencers, and they get very disappointed that they get no feedback. But these 200 people get tweeted at by 500 people every day, right? So those are the wrong people to try and engage with. Who you should be engaging with are people who have previously shown interest in similar campaigns. So Krowdster is connected to all the major social media APIs. We collect all the chatter from all the crowdfunding campaigns. We process the data, we categorize it, and you can go in Krowdster and you can say, okay, today I want to build my Twitter followers, and I want to connect with people who have previously supported film and video projects. You select that from a drop-down menu, and it will spit out tens of thousands. I don't know the exact number. We have over 500,000 people in the database right now. It's growing by about 5,000 daily. And this is a way, it's still a lot of work. It still takes a lot of time, but at least you're connecting with and tweeting at people who are interested in what you do. So the engagement rate is a lot higher, and it's a lot faster to build an audience that you can later tap into when your crowdfunding campaign goes live. Secret here is that you take enough time, and you don't start a day before you want to launch it. You start 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, depending on your crowd and how much you want to raise. But it does make life a lot easier.
Well, can I just say my left brain is really turned on right now with all that number stuff. It's so key. And then, marketing people, we love that kind of data. We love to know where can we go and find the people that are going to resonate. And in crowdfunding, it's finding the people who are going to resonate with your project, obviously, with your idea. But that's a lot easier said than done. In just a second, we're going to dive into how do you start your crowdfunding campaign and how to make things work. I just first want to say, hello, live viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Nazim. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Richard O. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Cherie. So many wonderful people who are joining us live today. We're so grateful and grateful for your questions. Nazim had said, great name. Where is Tubestart located as a business? And yes, it's in the U.S., right, Joseph?
Yes, it's in Santa Monica.
Great. Gee, again, so, versus Boston. Joseph, you're sharing such wonderful advice. I call it delicious, or shall I say Andelicious advice. Folks, remember, you can talk to Joseph one-on-one in the green room. after I hit end broadcast. I will put the link to the green room into the comment section. Click on it. Come join us. You can leave your video camera off. This is a great opportunity for you to ask questions and share ideas and inspiration with all of us in a wonderful unrecorded conversation. It's very impromptu. It's a lot of fun. So now, Joseph, we got to dive into crowdfunding, because this is such an important way, as you were talking about earlier, for film and videographers. It's an important way for people to look at raising money. Now, my background's more traditional. I've either gone to the bank to get financed, or venture capital, angels, and other investment vehicles. What is the difference? Why would a company want to use, or an entrepreneur want to use crowdfunding over the more traditional pathways?
Okay, that's a really good question. Where do I start? I think, crowdfunding, first of all, crowdfunding is not the easiest way to raise money. It's probably the hardest way to raise money. It has its advantages and disadvantages. It really depends on each individual case. I think the great advantages of crowdfunding are not just raising money. There is market validation, and then there is control, ownership over your business. You don't have to give up equity if you go crowdfund on Kickstarter, right? If you go to a VC, especially at an early stage, or an angel, they're going to take a big chunk of your equity, and then you will be working for someone, right? Because your investors become your boss, essentially, calling you and asking you how things are going.
Oh, well, let's not forget the quarterly reports you have to bring in.
Oh, yeah. Now, I mean, this can be, don't get me wrong. I think smart money is extremely valuable. If you find investors who are in the space that you are in and who are very well connected, and they don't just bring money, they bring a lot of expertise to the table and a lot of connections. And I've seen how powerful these phone calls can be. So that's amazing. It is not to be underestimated. But let's be honest. I mean, most people don't get VC money. Most VCs say no to the things that every time we pitch to a VC, they try to find a reason to say no. If you pitch it well enough and they like your idea enough that they still want to do it, then that's great. But most of the time it's really, really tough. So what I really love about crowdfunding, despite the fact that it's you keep control, is that you define your own destiny. You say, this is how much I want to raise, this is where I want to take it, this is what I want to do with the money, and you're in control. And I think that just is fantastic, because it's really the democratization of access to capital. Everyone can go on one of these crowdfunding platforms and present their idea to the public, and then hope that they will get funded. And I think that's a great thing,
And I love that. And I think the platforms are key. Now, being a music reality show lover, as I am, I love The Voice, I love American Idol. What I noticed on American Idol, for a platform, they get Grammy Award-winning contestants that win. Whereas, as much as I love The Voice, I don't really ever hear from those contestants ever again. So that's my example, everybody, of a great platform that's in alignment with where you want to go. So how, Josef, do we choose a platform that's right for us, given that there's almost 1,000 of them out there, folks? I mean, Josef's been throwing around Kickstarter and Indiegogo, but there's hundreds of them, right?
Oh yeah, there are so many, and there are so many different ones. So we really need to differentiate a little bit before we go deeper into this. There are 3 types of crowdfunding, I should say, roughly. I mean, there are more, but I'm trying to keep it simple. There is the rewards donation space, which is Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and then a charity crowdfunding websites where you get non-monetary returns. You get a T-shirt, you get a prototype of the product or anything like that no equity. Then there is the equity crowdfunding space that is divided into the so-called Title II and Title III crowdfunding, and without going into too many details, one is for accredited investors only, so that's really only targeting 9 million people in the United States. It's more of an online deal syndication than what most people consider crowdfunding. And then there is the thing that we're all waiting for, and the most exciting thing that will ever happen to investing in this country is the Title III, which would which is when crowdfunding to unaccredited investors will become legal.
Well,
so SEC is working on the final rules. They will hopefully release them this year. They're only 2 years behind, but I have faith that they're working on it. And this will mean that you can crowdfund your startup, and you can offer every one of your supporters a small piece of equity. So as opposed to getting a T-shirt and the fuzzy warm feeling of doing something good, you have partners and evangelists who will go out there and promote your business because they own a small share in it. And I think it changes the value proposition completely, because all of a sudden I'm no longer just funding your dream, but if your dream becomes a reality, it's also going to be my dream because I'm a shareholder. So I think this will change crowdfunding forever once it finally becomes legal. Right now in the US, Kickstarter and Indiegogo are the predominant ways to raise money, and this is also where you don't have to give up any equity. They make sense. Then there are a lot of niche platforms. So for each Kickstarter category, there are probably 2 or 3 niche platforms that try to do a better job at serving creators in that vertical. If you use crowdfunding for music and video, then there are different platforms, and if you want to raise money for a tech project. Kickstarter and Indiegogo are different in the sense that Kickstarter has a so-called all or nothing model. So say you want to raise $50,000 and you raise $49,000, you get nothing. On Indiegogo, they have the flexible model. If you raise $49,000, you keep $49,000, but you pay a higher fee. So which one is right for you depends on your project. Say if you're trying to crowdfund a web series, 12 episodes, you're trying to raise $20,000. If you only raise 15, you could still make maybe 8 episodes or 10, and you can still fulfill your rewards, so that would still be a success. I would go for a flexible funding model like on Tubestart or on Indiegogo. But if you say I need to pre-order 10,000 pieces of my invention in China, and if I can't pre-order 10,000, I can't pay for it, then you should do an all or nothing on Kickstarter because it adds a sense of urgency. It's very, very individual, and depends on each person's case.
Right, and of course for me, there's the good and the bad and the ugly with the Title III. One of the things I'm thinking about is, of course, the Wolf of Wall Street. You got so many people coming in and investing and throwing money around, but also having, understanding the conversations that you have to have with investors. I would get concerned about having so many people having such a percentage. I'd like to have a wall, a buffer, a way to keep them off my back, because there's the ups and downs of the business, and I don't want people going, hey, I don't want to lose my money. I mean, I'm hoping they'll put something in place, yes?
They will put something in place. There are investor protections already in place. So in Title III, you'll only be allowed to invest a certain percentage of your net worth. So they are trying to take care of it.
Right.
At the end of the day, this will not be a space where people invest in businesses they know nothing about. I think that Title III crowdfunding will be hyper-local. I think it will be something where, if your local barbershop wants to expand and they don't want to go to the bank, they want to crowdfund it, and they advertise it in their shop, and you go there and you see it, and you're like, oh, geez, I give you guys $500, I can become a shareholder. Not only are you now a customer for life, but you will also tell all your friends and everyone you know about your barbershop who just expanded and how great it is, so you get a free marketing army. That's the upside. Now, as always, when things go south, then people start calling and they want to know where's my investment and how's my money doing. But I think the upsides are going to outweigh.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've addressed the biggest challenge to crowdfunding, which is outreach. The Title III will really, really help the project succeed. And so many projects do need assets ahead of time, whether it's physical assets or things they need to order. So that's a really, really good point. I have a question here from Nazim, who is from Italy. What is the criteria on Tubestart to select the projects? Great question.
That's a great question. We look at mostly is how serious people are. because quite frankly, and this is not just true on Tubestart, I see this on all platforms, a lot of people think that the job's done with launching the campaign. But when you launch a campaign, the job's really just beginning. And so we look at projects, we look at the concept, we look at what people want to do, how much money they want to raise, and we reach out to the ones that we think have legs, and then we work with them very, very closely. This is why we also have to be very selective. This is not so much a self-serving platform like Indiegogo, where you go and you can literally launch a campaign in 2 minutes and not put any effort into it. But what this does is it just lets your success rate dwindle. And you know, Indiegogo has a failure rate of 91%. Only 9% of all campaigns reach the goal they have set themselves. And quite frankly, that's not what I consider a success. So what makes a good project for Tubestart is the marketability, how serious the creator is, and if they're willing to go the distance, you know, walk the walk, and then we help them as much as we can, and there's a lot that we can do.
Yeah, do you take a look to see what kind of funding they have in place? Because, folks, it takes money to actually do a crowdfunding campaign, right?
Yes, well, we try to work with people who have a marketing budget. We have worked with people who don't have a budget. It just takes more time. There are two ways of doing this, right? If you don't have time but you have money, you buy traffic. If you don't have money, then you need time, and then you start building your crowd organically and do it like that. Both works. So money certainly makes it easier, though.
Now, you know, when someone is doing a crowdfunding campaign and they're not on, you know, bringing a film to market, how important is the visual content to help with the outreach?
You mean for campaigns in general?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know the latest stat on it, but it's extremely, extremely important. So I think projects that have a video have like a 75% higher chance of getting funded. So it does make a big difference. So regardless of what the project is, a video to present not just the founders, but also the vision and the prototype and what they want to do with the money goes a long, long way. People are not really used to, you know, reading 2 pages of text anymore. They want to watch a video, and the video needs to convey all the information. And that's also very easy to share on all the social media platforms. So it's a really good investment.
It really is. Or if you want to do a one-sheet, I offer that over at AndeLyons.com. Shameless plug. What about how, you know, the starting of the campaign, when someone says, oh boy, I want to do this crowdfunding campaign, you know, what mistakes have you seen people make in the process? Walk us through some of the steps that would be best taken versus approaching this arbitrarily.
So the biggest problem that I see over and over again is people not giving themselves enough time before launching the campaign. If you think of launching the campaign like launching a rocket, once you push that button, it's on its course, and there's very little you can do. If you didn't do your homework, and then it's not going to work out. So I recommend that people take at least, you know, between 3, sometimes 6 months of prep time. Run a pre-campaign, build your crowd, start reaching out to people and priming them a little bit. You can't launch your campaign today and then reach out to all your people and go like, here's my campaign link, click it and buy something. You know, you want to get people excited, you want to get them engaged, you want to tell them a story, what do you want to do, you check it out, and then later, you know, slowly, the pitch comes. You know how this works, right?
Right. But are we talking like setting a time out 6 months for a campaign, 3 months?
Well, look, I mean, if you're a musician
mm-hmm.
and you have 150,000 Twitter followers and 50,000 Facebook likes and, you know, I don't know how many emails, then you may be ready in 2 weeks. You know, shoot your pitch video, set up your campaign, you have your audience, they're familiar with what you're doing, then it's easier. If you still have to build a crowd, or your crowd knows you as someone who has a 9-to-5 job, and all of a sudden you're going entrepreneur and you're doing something completely different, you need to prime them a little bit. You need to tell them what you're planning and give them a feeling you want to be part of it, which takes time. So this is, again, it's something very, very individual, but it's better to, you know, plan in a little more time than rushing it.
Sure, and I understand too that social media reach is really key. What if someone doesn't have a reach yet and they're new to social media, or they've just been hanging out in Facebook and they haven't done the the trifecta of LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google+.
Got to do it. There is no shortcut. You know, the word crowd is in crowdfunding, so it's pretty obvious what it takes. And unfortunately, there are no shortcuts other than having a big marketing budget. And why I keep saying this is because most of the campaigns, first of all, only 2% of all crowdfunding campaigns on all platforms raise more than $100,000. And all of these campaigns have a marketing budget, a marketing team, a promotion plan, a social media plan, everything in place. These things don't just happen. They do sometimes. If you're a potato salad, maybe you can raise 50 grand for nothing. But you know, those are those exceptions that the press and the media talk about, and that help actually create a lot of the misconceptions that people are struggling with when they're doing it themselves.
Yeah. Roxanne Davenport has a quick question here. If those, talking about Twitter, if those people find you on Twitter, do you confront them, ask them about funding? And that's a good, relationship building question.
I'm not sure I understand the question. If they find me or if I find them?
Or if you find them, and an engagement starts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's important to not just pitch a stranger, I mean, all we get is we get defensive and we want the person to go away and, delete, and that's it. But, get to know them, tweet about something they are interested in, retweet their tweets, get to know them, and then slowly bring in the pitch. It's nothing worse than rushing it in this department.
So, okay, you get your campaign up, you've chosen your platform, you've done your homework ahead of time, you've built your constituency, your evangelist, your outreach program, and now you're live. What happens then, both the good and the bad, once somebody goes live with their project?
The bad is when people go in hiding, and I've seen it. They launch it, and then they're like, oh my God, I hope this is going to work out. And it usually doesn't. A friend of mine once said, crowdfunding is the best way of finding out how few friends you really have. And another statistic is that 8 out of 10 contributions to your crowdfunding campaign will result from a link that you send out. So it's just pedal to the metal and full throttle forward, outreach to press, outreach on social media, if you have email lists, email blasts, and over and over and over and over again, several times a week, until you're where you need to be. It's ideal to raise about 30% of your funding goal in the first week, because that indicates to second and third social networks that you're getting traction. No one likes to contribute to a stranger's crowdfunding campaign that has raised $0. And you'd be surprised how many emails I get where people want me to go check it out and make a donation, and then I'm going there and it says $0. They didn't even put $1 in themselves, to make it look a little better. So this is really, really important. Everybody wants to bet on the winning horse. Nobody wants to bet on the losing one. So, getting traction and getting the first 30%, getting a good amount funded quickly will help you a lot in later attracting the strangers to push you over the finish line. But everything you need to do in the beginning is going to be your primary social network. So those are your friends and family who you should reach out before you launch. You should have a list of people. And when you go live, you email all of them. You go, Andy, we're live, click here, give me your $50. But you know it already, so it's not a pitch. You're on my team, right? So and this is how you create traction.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be great if you can, front load that 30% and have that ready before you hit the start button. I love that.
Ideal. Yeah.
It also feels like crowdfunding comes with the typical hand-holding with folks. You're really staying in touch, communicating. Are there certain systems that help ease that communication?
I think social media does all of it for the most part. It's really about identifying the right people, connecting with the right people, engaging with the right people. But I use LinkedIn. I can't say enough about LinkedIn. It's fantastic. Twitter and Facebook. You can use things like Hootsuite if you want to schedule your social media outreach. But you can go without. I mean, that's money you can really save.
And so now we've talked a lot about the person running the campaign, but there are folks who like to go and back. the projects, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more with the Title III projects coming in.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for those who love to participate in someone's dream?
Check out who you're investing in, first of all, but this is usually what happens anyway. No stranger goes to a campaign and gives it money if it doesn't look like it's going to reach its goal. So one of my favorite examples is the Coolest Cooler, the most successful Kickstarter campaign of all times. They failed the first time around, and they failed miserably. And then they went back to the drawing board and redesigned their campaign, regrouped, did it the right way. Because again, crowdfunding is not rocket science. It really isn't. You need to follow some steps. You need to have all your ducks in a row. But it's really not anything that you can pull off if you do your homework. So they did. They went back. They did their homework, and they came in and they killed it. And that's always just such a beautiful example that even if you fail the first time, don't give up. Something wasn't right. Go back, give it the time it takes, and then you can raise. How much did they raise? $13 or $14 million. I mean, it was mind-blowing. Without giving up any equity. Think about it.
I do. I've had to give up a lot of equity in the past, and I'm telling you, that just really floats my boat. What's very exciting about what you just said, and it's really my favorite advice on this whole interview, Josef, is the fact that they went in and they failed, and they came back. This is key for entrepreneurial adventures, period. What they learned in the failing, oh my gosh, they all dove in, fixed, tweaked, changed, shifted, all sorts of stuff so that they could come back and go for it again. I love that story, Josef.
Yeah, me too. It's really one of my favorite crowdfunding stories, and it's the entrepreneurial life, I mean, you get so many no's and you get punched in the face so many times. You just need to keep going and pushing forward and believing in what you want to do. Who else will? If you don't own it, if you don't believe in it, if you don't think it's gonna be a success, then who will?
Exactly.
That's the way it is.
It's like having faith in your kid, sending them off to kindergarten, knowing they're going to succeed and giving them every chance that they have.
Right.
What is it about your work that really excites you, that you really love?
I'm very, very fortunate because through what I do, I get to meet a lot of very interesting and inspiring entrepreneurs. And because I'm an entrepreneur myself, I like to surround myself with entrepreneurs. All my friends are entrepreneurs. And I like hearing about new ideas. There's just few things that are more inspiring and more motivating too. And sometimes, it's good to hear other people's stories and also their struggles. And you don't feel like you're all alone. And oh my God, you have the same problem? Yeah, me too. And that's kind of cool. So here in Santa Monica, we have a thriving startup community. I know a lot of other entrepreneurs, so they can help with investor connections and business connections and all these things, and that's what I think I like the most about it.
Well, you've come to the right place because Possibility Partners is all about entrepreneurs and sharing our stories and our dreams and our rut-rows. So thank you. What do you see new on the horizon for Tubestart and Krowdster?
Well, we are actually in our Series A for Tubestart right now. We have made some very, very important strategic partnerships, and I found some partners who really believe in my long-term vision. Like I said before, we don't want to be just another crowdfunding platform. We want to basically replace the studio system with something that works better. And it looks like we're well on the way. Still a lot of work, but we have really good support now, and that's very, very exciting. As for Krowdster is just booming. I mean, I was shocked. Frankly, we launched Krowdster 90 days ago. This is very, very new, and it has 2,500 users. And I get so many emails every single day from people using it and thanking me or questions. And that.
Is there a fee for using Krowdster?
Yes, there is a fee. Well, it's a freemium model. You can use all the analytics for free, and then there are premium features like the Crowd Builder that have a monthly premium membership fee.
Yeah, and I recommend everybody on LinkedIn go over and follow Josef and Krowdster, because I'm telling you, those numbers really are amazing that he grabs and Krowdster shares every day. They really are, Josef.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think Tubestart is really one of my favorite brands out there. I think what you've done in capturing a wonderful niche market, giving it the level of integrity and support that it needs, you're a phenomenal steward for the business. Thank you for
Thank you
doing
so
that.
much, Andy. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I love it. Folks, you can find Josef LinkedIn, Tubestart, Krowdster, on Twitter, here on Google+, the trifecta, as I mentioned earlier. Please connect with him, and please share this show with folks that you know are seeking funding for their business. Josef shared unbelievable information today. Let's get it out to folks so that they can feel inspired and really know, take the mystery away from crowdfunding and know how they can use these platforms for their business's benefit. I just love this. A quick shout out to the folks that swung by and said they couldn't be here live. Oh, thank you for swinging by. I'm waving to you in the replay room and mwah, 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 sending you mois. And that, of course, is Blair Glazer and Deborah Oakland. And Nicole, I know you popped in for just a second. Gail Harris and others, thank you. And, of course, to my live viewers, you make my heart sing every week with your participation. I cannot thank you enough for being here. And next week, we have, the Smarty Pants Google Plus man himself, Stepan Hovnanian. And he is going to be focusing us on email campaigns. So that's Tuesday, March 3rd, 1 p.m. EST, right here. We're going to get our email campaign learning on, because emails are not dead yet. Newsletter campaigns, etc. Josef, any last words for folks before we end the show and hop into the Afterglow party?
First of all, thanks for having me. I think what you do is really great. I mean, this is just fantastic. Entrepreneurs need to come together and help each other out, because it's a tough job, and sometimes, as you said before, it gets lonely, and sometimes it gets a little frustrating, and so this is really, really helpful, and I appreciate it a lot. As far as crowdfunding is concerned, I see how this can be a daunting task to a lot of people, but there are great blog posts out there. I read a lot about it. There are great books out there, video training courses. If you really take the time to just read or watch one of those and really try to understand how it works, it's absolutely doable, and that's the cool thing about it. Yes, it takes a lot of time. Yes, it's a lot of hard work. Yes, you can fall on your face, but you know what? You can also get funded, and that's the great thing about it. And that's really, I think that's the bottom line here.
I love happy endings or beginnings. They got funded.
Right?
That's a wonderful thing. Well, thank you for joining me today, Josef, because you really provided the entrepreneurial adventures here today with some phenomenal advice. I'm truly grateful to you. And to all you entrepreneurs out there, thank you so much for having the courage to pursue your dreams. I am in such awe and wonder of you and cheering you on from here. See you next week. Bye. Mwah. Have an Andelicious day.